It's going to be a new year, 2022. So we do a look back usually, and then we also try to do a look forward. What in the crypto world, what are the big things to think about for 2022, whether it's a physical ETF for Bitcoin or institutional adoption of Bitcoin or regulatory actions around the world? What are you thinking about in terms of trying to gauge what we should expect? And I have no idea. No one does with something like Bitcoin.
That's very, very true, Joe. No one does. And as you said, bring on 2022, right? Because 2021 sure was interesting. Great to be here with you. Thanks for having me. I do have to say that nothing I say is investment advice. And these are my opinions, not those of my employers. But back to your question, Joe, what are we going to be looking for in the next year? We expect a continuation of institutional involvement. We're seeing that. I mean, just the institutional growth over the past 12 months has been astonishing, and we're seeing strong signs of that accelerating over the next year, both through direct token investment and through investment in the crypto market infrastructure companies themselves. We saw the birth, Joe, of 60. We have 65 unicorns, 40 of which appeared this past year, in the past 12 months. That's an average of 3 a month. That's quite astonishing. And that kind of investment in the industry, directly in the companies, is likely to accelerate given the amount of money out there looking for returns and also giving the lower perceived risk. We also are seeing a greater interest from the institutions in a more diversified crypto portfolio. A year ago, Joe, you remember this, used to talk about it, Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. That was all they wanted to talk about. And then maybe ETH if they were feeling really daring. But now many investors are bypassing the two major cryptocurrencies directly and going to some of the riskier, but also higher return tokens that represent technological advancement, new cultural statements. The sector really has, I guess, disassociated itself from just the market leader, offering investors much more choice than they've ever had.
I saw some of your tweets which caught my attention, and that is that recently Bitcoin miners are increasing capacity. Now, normally that costs money, and they may have financed that in different ways. Now it's being financed through banks or market-based financing, which not only could add it could add to the popularity of the whole space, obviously, but it also doesn't take selling of Bitcoin to finance the mining operation. So do you see producing more as bullish, or?
Absolutely.
You do?
Absolutely. And that's a fascinating thread to pull on, Joe, and something that has been very overlooked in the market, in my opinion. One of the big developments over the past 12 months was the migration of mining from China, of Bitcoin mining from China. And a lot of that went to the United States, which has two main effects. One, it changes the narrative around the energy consumption. Moving to North America does give miners access to a more diversified mix of energy sources, as well as enable them to participate in the establishment of more renewable sources, as well as strengthen some of the existing grids. It's changing the energy narrative around Bitcoin. But even more significantly, perhaps for the Bitcoin market directly, is the access that this gives Bitcoin miners to financing, be it through bank-based financing, like some credit lines that we've seen, or through market-based financing. We're seeing more and more Bitcoin miners list on public exchanges and actually do very well. What does this mean for Bitcoin itself? It means that whereas before miners had to sell Bitcoin in order to fund their expansion and operations, now they don't need to. They can hold on to that Bitcoin, and we're seeing on-chain data support that. Less new Bitcoin coming into the market is bullish.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.